What's up, y'all? Yes, Taste of Wisconsin.
Woo! We are concluding American Cheese Month, yo. I mean,
Don't stop believing, though.
it's kind of American cheese year.
Yeah, well, let's go with a decade.
Yeah.
We can just go with a decade.
But officially, it's American Cheese Month. Okay, everybody knows the drill. Scooch one more little inch that way. Okay, there we go.
Scooch in.
You're great. You're great.
Woo!
Hey, Reggie!
Reggie, eyeballs on. We love you, Reggie. You're amazing.
We are doing Wisconsin tonight, y'all. So nobody thinks of cheese or Wisconsin and cheese together.
No. This is a unique. No, this event's never been done before.
If you are just joining, can somebody give us the thumbs up if the audio is working and there's no delay? Let us know so we don't need to restart. It goes on and on and on and on.
Strangers waiting.
Up and down the boulevard, there's shadows.
Cheers, honey. We're just waiting for folks to join. We're having a great night.
We're ahead of the game.
Yeah.
Thanks, Christopher. We did try to look up Wisconsin music, and there's an eclectic variety. So we've settled for Journey to close out American Cheese Month. Don't Stop Believing.
This would be my karaoke song of choice. So it's fitting. It feels pretty good.
I actually prefer when you do this in karaoke because otherwise you default to like some NSYNC Backstreet Boys stuff.
Oh, I love that too.
And you do Mariah Carey in karaoke.
Can you blame me? It's the best. It's amazing.
Do you remember when we started dating in college and you like put on Jessica Simpson? And I was like, oh no.
Yeah. I got a barbecue stain on my white t-shirt.
No, that is John Michael Montgomery. That is country music.
Doesn't she have a stain on some piece of clothing at some point?
Never have I felt you make me look good in my little white t-shirt.
Okay, so it doesn't have a stain, but it's a shirt. That's fine. Close enough, y'all.
No.
REO Speedwagon is from Wisconsin.
Oh, sorry, y'all.
Man.
This was like a quick Journey is not from Wisconsin, Christopher.
Yeah, no. We're just playing Journey because it's my favorite song. So not to confuse the interwebs, we don't want to break
the whole
Facebook tonight.
Leading in with music was actually just what we used to do right before we got on, so we could pump ourselves up and get in the zone and leave the rest of the day behind us, or center ourselves, or just get in a new place. And then all of a sudden it turned into
part of the party. Y'all welcome. Yeah. This is not DJ in your living room. This is just
we would be horrible
couple
DJs,
of cheese geeks,
as you can tell, because we listen to Journey.
Yeah.
Don't stop believing.
Don't stop believing. Never stop believing. All right. Oh, Steve Miller, too. Carolyn, that would have been awesome. Or Corinne.
Oh.
Steve Miller Band is amazing.
When I did a quick Google for musicians from Wisconsin, none of these things popped up.
German-American music was what spotlighted. But we have an awesome tasting. I will be finishing that song later. You can't not finish the song, so I'll finish it for us.
It's still running in the head.
Yeah, exactly. One of the greatest songs of all time.
But yay! Welcome. You are all here. We got 55 of you. There's over 100 folks joining us tonight, but maybe some are doing it later. Yeah, some are wrapping up a work day. Some are running after their children or dogs or whatever it is. So, but we're here now, and it's 6:02, and I think we should
dive in. We should definitely dive in. This is going to be a fun tasting. We got delicious products in front of us. While we're waiting on those last two people and we start talking, if you want to share with us what you're drinking tonight, if you're drinking bubbles or cocktails or beer or wine or cider, let us know.
And what type of varietal?
Yeah, and if you're celebrating something. I just finished a really important presentation for the American Cheese Society on mental health about 30 minutes ago, and so I feel I'm here celebrating with y'all. I felt really great about advocating for mental health in our industry, especially at a time like this. And so
you do deserve a high five. So
thank you, my love.
Yes, we are big. I'm just a big fan of yours right now, and that was really challenging to put yourself out there that way and talk about your mental health. So way to go. I am sorry, Bill. Bill Childs just let me know that Violent Femmes are also from Wisconsin. So we really failed the Wisconsin music scene.
Hey, we're not going to fail their cheese scene. We're here for cheese, y'all. Yes. Don't judge us on music.
Okay. The one other thing, I see a lot of people drinking rosé. That's awesome.
Happy birthday to Marissa.
Spotted Cow. Perfect. That would, if we could have put something with this plate, we probably would have done that for you.
Played.
Oh, one other thing. If this is your first time joining John and me for a Facebook Live, let us know. Because if everybody has done this a zillion times, we can skip over some of the stuff.
No, we won't skip over. I like it too much. Okay. Never.
I think your hat, it like is erect. Like it could be. No, maybe not. Maybe a proper cheesehead could tell us how we're supposed to wear it.
It's supposed to be like a pirate hat, right?
If you are unaware,
keep my head down.
Not aware, unaware, Wisconsin is the home of the Cheeseheads, Green Bay Packers. That's about as far as that goes. Yeah. But that's why cheese hats.
And our koozie.
We are drinking Rambler tonight.
Yes. Fantastic.
Our tasting brought to you by unofficially sponsored Rambler.
Yeah, we got a bunch of first timers.
Yay! Fantastic. Okay, so let's dive in and do it then.
All right.
So here's our layout, guys. I'll do some ground rules, housekeeping.
Knock it out, my love.
All the little orange curds that we're gonna taste, those should be at your 1 o'clock. And that's where we're going to start. So if you've switched it around or replated, I'm sorry if you've replated. Hope you've done it the right way. I'm sure it's gorgeous. But if you have our awesome bamboo compostable plates in front of you, put your orange curds at 1 o'clock, and we are going to go around clockwise. That way we're going to talk about things tonight. We'll talk about the cheese first, invite you to eat it and tell the story behind it. Then when we're darn tootin' ready, we'll tell you about the pairing. Because somebody always says, but what about the pairing, y'all? The whole point is the cheese, and then we'll get to the pairings, all right? So we get it. We know you're chomping at the bit, but we will talk about the pairing. And then if we go to the next cheese and forget it, though, hold us accountable for sure.
And I'm going to I'll post the pairings right now in the chat window. So you guys, those of you following along, you can check it out. All right?
Oh, yeah. I was counting my cheese. Now I ate some beforehand, y'all, which is like against the rules. Next rule. Try to stay with us and not eat ahead like I might have done before him, and leave a little bit of each cheese back. Why? It's fun to mix and match the pairings as we go through. If you're drinking stuff, your palate is going to change and open up, and we like to say you can always end on your favorite bite. So try to keep a little bit back, and then we'll talk about some other pairings you can do on your plate. The bread is there just as a palate cleanser. When we say to eat this fresh cheese, we hope you eat it naked in the buff because we want you to taste that cheese and not the bread. But afterwards, you can enjoy your bread dipped in and spread however you want it.
That's right.
And then last but not least, I was hailing back to when we were doing cheese classes in the cheese house, and I was like, in the bathroom is in the corner.
The bathroom is that way if you need it.
Hopefully you can stand up and find your bathroom.
And if it starts raining during the presentation, we do have umbrellas for you to get you to your automobiles.
Oh, it's supposed to hail and stuff, y'all. So I'm super glad, though, for our team, it didn't happen during pickups because it has rained a lot of days during pickups, and that's madness. Yeah. So hi, y'all. I'm Kendall.
Hey, you know how I mentioned that
you're usually like boom, boom, boom on that, and we missed that.
No, we're on the same page. You know how I mentioned that I did the panel for mental health today?
Yeah.
My therapist is in this class today.
Yes.
Huge shout out to somebody.
You can give him a shout out. He can't give you a shout out.
Chris Q is one of the greatest guys in the world. Eye-to-eye counseling helped me big time last year. Work through all of the things that I was working through on my personal.
And no, just so you know, when you're like, why am I on this? And is this paid advertising? It's not, but this is real talk with Kendall and John.
Yeah, unscripted.
We just let whatever comes out come out, and hopefully there's a lot of good cheese knowledge too.
And I'm grateful for his part of my journey.
Yes.
So thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah. We appreciate you.
You're awesome.
Yeah, and if anybody wants help with that, because as John's been telling his story, a lot of dudes have been coming out that they might enjoy speaking to somebody, eye-to-eye counseling, right? Yes. Chris Q. Okay, we don't get any kickbacks for that. Actually, the kickback is that you are doing great.
I'm doing great.
Okay, what was I saying? I'm Kendall.
And I'm John.
And we're the Antonellis.
Yes, and we've been doing virtual Facebook Live tastings from the middle part of March, right as the COVID pandemic became a real thing here in Austin, Texas. This became our way of moving beyond social distancing and trying to be engaged and socially interactive with as many people as possible, because isolation is a really scary part of what's happening right now. And so we are also thrilled that we get to showcase so many amazing producers and cheesemakers. So
yes,
this is an amazing time for us, and it's date night.
It is date night.
It's our first chance to take a deep breath together and just have a good time. So cheers, y'all. Yeah, cheese therapy. Douglas.
Hi, Ken. Ken is on, who owns a cheese shop in Wisconsin called Formagination. Bill, you're moving back to Wisconsin. You should go to Formagination. And anybody else, when you get to go, Ken's shop is awesome. So another retail owner who's trying to make it through like the rest of us. Okay, let's do a tasting exercise, and we're going to talk about stuff all along the way. For those of you who are new with us, you should know that taste or flavor is actually taste meets aroma. So we have an exercise to kind of show that to you, as well as calibrate all of our palates. We might have just had coffee and red wine and all this, and we're going to try to start off more or less on the same footing. So keep breathing out of your mouth, but plug your nose and pick up the corn nut. Unless you're allergic to corn nuts, don't eat it. Put it on your palate and start chewing it. And think about what you're tasting. I immediately got salt. I always know that it tastes salt. John sometimes gets a little bit of the bitter. Yeah, you definitely hear with your senses the crunchiness. When you think you know what that tastes like, open your nose and exhale out while you're tasting it. So the point of that is to show you, and when you do that, that's when you get Frito pie and popcorn and I forgot what somebody else said last week. All the other, basically everything you think you know about a corn nut really comes through all the aroma that comes out when you're tasting it. And so the whole point is to show that flavor, we want to eat these cheeses just as mindfully. We don't want to just pop them in our palate and throw them back and eat like we're toothpicking it, okay? This is a lot of labor of love here. And we have some amazing cheesemakers who put so much time and energy and resources into this. And we want you to just as mindfully eat it as you would at a wine tasting when you're assessing and swirling that beautiful wine. So each time we eat a cheese, we're going to pick it up and we're going to look at it and we're going to smell it. And I mean, after all, a squeaky cheese curd is not a squeaky cheese curd if it doesn't
have a sound, if it doesn't squeak.
Thank you. It's like, if it doesn't
have a sound.
I agree, though. A different way to say that is when you're eating potato chips, technically the flavor does not change when they're stale. But when you eat a stale potato chip, it just doesn't taste the same. And that's all part of the experience, too. So let's engage all of our senses and be here. There's a lot of stuff going on outside there, and it's political, and there's some deep stuff going on right now in our news feeds too. And so not that all of that should be ignored, but I hope for us today, we can just mindfully be here together and enjoy the makers that are in front of us.
Yes.
Because it's American Cheese Month, as we said, if you got on late, and it's the final stages, and we've done Taste of California, Taste of Vermont, we did Best of Show winners, which we have a secret Best of Show on here for you. And now we're doing Taste of Wisconsin.
Secrets.
Which is a good way to end it all. So we've calibrated our palates, and I think it's time to start with those orange cheese curds for the first time ever, debuting on a cheese plate in our class. But I knew if we didn't do curds, some of y'all would be like, no curds? I'll tell you after we eat this one why we didn't do curds normally. But I knew we had to have curds on it for Wisconsin, and I kind of fought the team on this one. I'm going to let you take it away. Be careful when you're picking up because it is paired next to
an orange peppadew, gold dew.
So if it's kind of soft, don't eat this one yet. This is not the curd.
That's the pairing. Yeah. It should look like little bits of mild cheddar. So this is from Widmer's Cheese Cellars in Teresa, Wisconsin. Joe Widmer is a third-generation cheesemaker, which it's amazing to think about multiple generational cheesemakers. And we have a couple on the plate today, and Joe is one of them. Not only does he give some of the greatest hugs on the planet, I sure wish we could have one today. I mean, he's amazing.
Joe reminds me of like the Santa Claus of cheesemakers, and he probably doesn't know that, and he's not his normal build, but for some reason he's got a beard.
He's always joyful.
Yeah, he is. He's just always smiling, and so that's how I imagine Santa Claus is.
Yeah, and he is always been a big support of ours, and been a big fan, and likewise we've been a big fan of his. And his grandfather started this facility in 1922, and he's working, Joe, in the same facility now, and it was the basement level of the house he grew up in. And so he's been basically growing up in this cheese world and cheese industry. And
they make the cheese in the basement. Like when we think of cheese making, there's first of all cheese making has humble origins. You made cheese because you needed protein during the winter months when you didn't have milk. And so when you had a surplus of milk, you would use it and store that milk by making it into cheese. And then in the winter months, you had a protein source for the family. So when cheese gets too like pretentious and stuffy, we're like, no, cheese is of and by and for the people, and it should be accessible and approachable. And we can talk about why pricing is higher for artisanal cheese. And that's really because you're actually paying for the labor that goes into it. It's the real cost of food as opposed to processed foods or robot foods or some different things like that. And I'm not saying one is good or bad or it's black or white. There's a lot of gray room. It's just that's what you're actually paying for, is to actually pay to somebody to put a roof over their head. So that was a digression. Joe makes this cheese. John is like, yes, it was, honey. In his basement. And we have both been there. And it's super awesome. And
I am not going to go yet. You went to Wisconsin.
I thought you went.
No, you went that
you
first
seen
trip.
It. Okay.
I've never seen it.
You like walk in and the house is up top and you walk down into a basement and it's this big room and they have these 2 or 3, I can't remember now, big vats right there. The little shop is over on the side. And then you walk to a different room that's a brining room, which they still have all these original brines, kind of like a mother. And then the bricks. You talk about the bricks.
So
right after you took a bite.
I would have to eat a cheese curd. There's 2 things that I think are super fascinating about Joe and the history of their cheese making facility. They're still using the vats that his grandfather had acquired in 1922. So there's a really great history and tradition there. But then also brick cheese, which we're not eating tonight, but brick cheese is like a Wisconsin original, an American original style. And why it's called brick is they used to use actual bricks as sort of a weight to put pressure on the cheese as it was
and it helps push
during
the moisture out.
Getting rid of the whey. Joe and his team still use the original bricks from way back when that his grandfather was using. And I was reading on his website that they think they're the only place in the country that still use bricks when making that cheese, which is super cool.
The other shout out I have to give to Joe is we opened in 2010. One of the first cheeses in our case was Widmer's 10-year cheddar. 5-year, 10-year. I think they even have a 15. And after that, we really preferred and loved the 10-year. So we started with that in our shop, and we still have it in our shop. And lo and behold, in February, we celebrated our 10-year anniversary for the business. We weren't sure we were always going to make it, y'all.
We made it.
Dicey years, like every other year.
Yeah.
Like we have enough income. We don't have enough income. Oh my God. No.
That's the cycle of small business.
Yeah. And you always forget when it sucks and when it's good. But so Joe, Widmer's was awesome. They gave us all free 10-year cheddar, and everybody who came into our business on February 11th of 2020 this year got a wedge of free cheddar. So huge appreciations to Joe. They're a family operation. You can think of them as being big, but they're not. And his son is awesome. And the way we paired, okay, so why have we not done a cheese curd? Cheese curds, ideally, and especially if you're a Wisconsinite, should be eaten, we think, fresh. Like you get a fresh curd, that's when it's still squeaky. Anything that we know we're getting here has already had to take time to travel and been vacuum sealed for a little while. That being said, I still couldn't not do it. And it's still a delicious cheese. This is still the building blocks of all the cheddars that you love. So go ahead and take it and play with it. Feel it. Look at the elasticity. I know you've already eaten it now. Eat it and get this. This would be a young cheddar. So it's not going to have those sharp and a lot of acid on it. And then the way we thought it'd be fun to pair it with the peppadew is to stuff it inside the peppadew and do it like a little popper.
Yeah, so one of the traditional characteristics of a cheese curd is the squeakiness factor. And usually it basically rubs against your teeth and makes an actual squeak sound. That feeling experience tapers off after 24 hours. I've never gotten to do a tasting or never been told that specific information, but usually in Wisconsin, when it's cheese curd day, everybody shows up, buy the cheese curds, bring them home, eat them that day or as quickly as possible. And so it's so amazing. We just have a question. What makes it a building block to all other cheddar? So this is a cheddar cheese curd. So essentially what you would do, you'd have this vat of cheddar cheese curds, and using the process of cheddaring, you would actually stack them on top of it. Curds really like to connect with other curds and combine. And so they create these blocks of long, like rectangular shapes, and use them stacked on top of each other to release moisture. And eventually that gets chopped up in a machine, broken apart, and then those are the curds.
It gets milled through a machine.
And then those are the curds that end up in the wheels. They go into the hoops that turn into the wheels and that we get to enjoy. So this is more or less the building blocks.
And we might have time to do more of that when we get later to the cheddar. The peppadew, when I paired them together, at first I thought, dang it, the peppadew really overrides the cheddar. The pickling of it and the acid of that golden dew from Africa. But at the end, it's fun. The cheddar kind of came back through and was like, I'm still here. I'm still standing. And those are pickled peppers. Did we do that part from Africa? Golden dews.
Yeah, they're good. They're not spicy. They're sweet. They more have simple syrup flavor, like a sweetness to them. That was really fun.
That was. Thank you for letting me do. So the team was like, they're not going to be squeaky. You can't do cheese curds. I was like, I'm doing cheese curds. So hope you liked getting to talk about Wisconsin cheese curds.
You get what you asked for. It was wonderful. Y'all, thumbs up for the cheese curds.
Yay. Let us know and keep asking. And somebody else asked a question. Michelle asked, why do they get less squeaky over time?
You know, I don't know.
I actually don't know.
That's a great question. We'll go to cheesescience.org and I'm sure we could find that out.
And I think there's some cheese folks on here. So if any of them know the answer to that, go answer Michelle's question for us and we'll read it out loud.
We're not masters of cheese curds because there's no place in Texas where we can get them.
Yeah.
So
okay. So next up is our Chev. We're gonna do a fresh Chev.
Yes, we are.
We always feature, this is different for us because we always feature all of our local fresh chefs. We have some amazing, the closest cheesemakers we have to us in Austin are all goat's milk producers. So we rotate between representing them. And so we rarely taste this cheese, although we bring in a lot of this cheese for wholesale clients as well.
Yep.
So tell us, fresh Chev. Chev just means goat. And this is a fresh goat's milk cheese.
Yeah. So go ahead and eat it. It's rindless. So what you'll end up experiencing is a nice acidity on the side of your palate.
Smell it first.
Milkiness.
Smells lactic, a little like sour milk, not in a bad way, like the sour, right? That's the right word I'm looking for.
You can say lactic, almost yogurty.
Like the yogurt.
Sour creamy. It's wonderful. And this is from LeClaire Family Creamery in Malone, Wisconsin.
Another family operation. Yep. LeClaire gets its name from Larry and Clara Hedrich. Husband-wife team.
And we both know him from ACS. You want to talk about
Larry, they just are very community service oriented and giving back. And Larry currently serves on the board of the American Cheese Society. And then I serve on the board of the American Cheese Education Foundation, and Larry is board liaison. And so he's really been helping us out and launched all of American Cheese Month this month and type of things. So tell us your story. See, I am going to let you talk some tonight. So, just every time you put food in your mouth.
The flavor of the cheese tonight, we're all tasting the same batch, but different logs within the batch. Has a very, it's almost has a texture of like New York cream cheese. Like
it's not choppy
that you
at
get
all.
on a bagel, but it's got a nice acidity to it, which elevates it, which I really think is special. Basically, Larry and Clara, they wanted to get back to farm life, and so they moved out on a farm and inherited some goats. And they ended up, when you have 2 goats, then you end up with 3 goats, then you end up with 4, 5, 6.
Story of all the goat people.
Yeah, all of the goat people started with 2. It's just the story of their life. And so it basically became like a very important part of their life. And even their kids say that they used to just travel to go to goat dairies. Like, our kids will say that one day, Mom and Dad took us on vacations to cheese shops or cheesemakers. Like
actually, Everett right now just keeps saying, we were the first one in that prosciutto factory in Spain last summer.
That's what they love. So they founded this LeClaire brand. And Katie, their daughter, was the lead cheesemaker early in the days. And they make a cheese called Evelyn. Which is a really special aged goat's milk cheese that we've carried before. And then they also make a cave-aged Sandoka, which you probably had in our shop before, which is fascinating.
Also award-winning deliciousness.
But basically, their goal is to make the sort of superior quality and taste of dairy goat products. Like that's what they're always aiming for and searching for. And so in order to do that, like Larry leads the co-op that creates the milk, because great milk creates great product. And they just keep winning awards. It's just really incredible.
And if you don't, this is our only goat's milk cheese tonight, I think. Yeah. So if you don't traditionally like goat's milk, I'd really encourage you to try it. First of all, if you don't like goat's milk cheeses, try an aged goat's milk cheese, because people often forget about that, and it's a whole different flavor ballgame. But I really would say try a little bite of this, because like you said, it's like the texture of cream cheese.
Slightly acidic Philadelphia cream cheese.
I'm not quite sure why one of my children just went out the front door. I might have to go check that.
Yeah.
Okay. But then smart. Today, we'll give it a minute. Surely they're still in the yard. I'm pretty sure they're also both in their underwear, so I don't know what they're going out there for. Much like you, we are working from home with our children. Okay, we paired this tonight. So we switched this up. Normally, we would always pair a fresh chev. Like I typically pair it with apricots or dried fruits, or like a blueberry jam. So I like to pair that acid with the acid, but we decided to go for something completely different this time. And this is still acidic, but we're pairing it with quince and apple. Matt and Claire are from Wisconsin as well, and they make jams that go with cheeses because they love cheese, but they want to be in the jam game, and they make a whole lot of other stuff now too. So we paired it with their red wine shallot confit. So what do you think?
That's really good. I think it elevates the cheese, elevates the sweetness of the caramelized onions.
So because things were all right next to you, this is the first one that's in the little cup.
Yeah. So it's caramelized onions, or
shallots.
Shallots. Yeah. Sorry. Shallots. And I think you found out yesterday, shallots are like $3.50 each.
I did not realize shallots were so much more expensive.
So much more expensive, but I get it. So Matt and Claire in Madison, Wisconsin make these quince and apple products that are just outrageously good. What I thought was really fun was that it actually brought the caramel out more. Usually it's a really savory thing, but it made the onions almost sweet.
I thought the same thing. And so normally it's not bitter, but you get that tanginess a lot more. And I thought it made the shallot confit sweet. Yeah. And the other thing is I don't really like red wine with fresh chev. And it's something about the tannin fighting with the texture of that cheese. However, it worked.
I mean, it worked.
I thought it was good. Let us know what y'all think. But I was super excited.
I don't want to stop eating that. That was wonderful.
And
if you have any questions along the way, just put them in the little chat window. And
Barbara said this is way better than Philadelphia cream cheese. Yes, once you do a fresh chev on your bagel with lox, like it's hard to ever go back. You know how on a bagel, I'm sorry, New Yorkers, you know how on a bagel, a good bagel, you put your cream cheese and then you put lox and then you put capers and stuff on it. Well, the capers are to add that like pickling, acidic bite. The fresh chev does that for you. So anyway, and with the fatty palate coatingness of the lox. So I'm just saying fresh chev on bagels.
For the win.
Although, sorry, this is supposed to be a Wisconsin class and I like hybrided it.
That's fine.
Okay.
I think we're winning. A lot of cream cheese comes from
And June just said that, I think this has got to be folklore, but she said that kids, when they're growing up in Wisconsin and lower school, elementary school, have to take tests by learning all the cheeses.
That's fine.
That sounds like some weird folklore I've heard about Texas schools.
The Wisconsinites on the program tonight can make things up, and we're not gonna Wikipedia.
All Wisconsin all the time.
I believe y'all.
All right, I'm excited for this next cheese.
Oh, Mary Ann Smikowski, the current president of the American Cheese Society, is on tonight.
Yay!
What's up, Mary Ann?
And one of the smartest, awesome women we know, and a firecracker. Mary Ann, you're a firecracker.
We love you.
Okay,
we love you. You're awesome.
So next up, we are on our first washed rind cheese, and I'm super excited. I've been begging to bring this in because washed rind cheeses are my favorite because they're the stinkies, and I really like some stinky, pungent cheese. I don't know what that says about me, but it's my jam. It's where I live.
You're amazing.
We just brought this one in, and so you are getting it first, and then it will go. I think we put it in our case just today, and it'll go in our case too. And we had to special order it in small batch, but this cheese is called, drumroll please,
Monroe, for the name after.
Kind of jumped the gun.
I was ready.
Okay.
Monroe it's the town that Roth Keza USA is based out of. So Roth Keza, the mothership.
Wait, I want you to talk about it while our team. We have somebody new was helping prep. So the way I want you to eat it, don't just cut down. It actually has rind on the bottom. So if you pick it up, I really want you to get a bite first of just the rind, of just the paste. And then I want you to get a bite with the rind because it's going to taste different and it's going to be 2 different cheeses. And yes, you can eat the rind, but try to get just the inner creaminess first and then do a bite with the rind. Continue.
Hey, I've been called out because I stole a bite from your plate.
And was I not looking?
You were talking. All's fair in love and war. No, I don't. I will share one of my future bites with her. How does that sound, Ellen? So yeah, try this cheese. This is delicious.
Smell it. It's got some stank. It actually is not that stanky. A lot of wash rind cheeses can be more stinky, have a bigger bite. What is it? Bigger bark than bite. Okay. Would you please talk about the cheese?
I'll do my best. So Rothkäse, there's the mothership, and then there's Rothkäse USA. The big company was founded in 1863, and it specialized in producing and exporting Emmentaler, an amazing Alpine style cheese. So at 1863, fast forward to 1991, and Rothkäse USA was founded. They found an area of the country that was really great for getting good milk and could make amazing cheeses similar to that style, that mountain style, Gruyere, Swiss-inspired Alpine cheeses, along with like Dutch-style Goudas and Havardis. And they found Monroe, Wisconsin. And so they put the plant there. It houses copper fats that they use. And when they came into the market in 91, they sort of reintroduced wood boards into the Wisconsin production.
Ooh, y'all, that's a big cheese debate.
According to their website. I'm not going to give full credit. I just want to make sure that everybody's on the same page.
We try to personally put our eyes on production of all the cheeses that we carry. In fact, all the products that we carry, but we haven't gotten to go to Rothkäse.
Not yet.
So, yeah.
Soon.
Future travel trip, whenever that's allowed. So
post-COVID. But one of the cool things, so they work with a co-op to get their milk. Rolling Hills Dairy Producers is the co-op. Is 152 farms that supply Rothkäse. That's and their average herd size is 100 head, all within a 60-mile radius of the creamery. So I think that's super cool that they're able to support such a large part of that community with the cheese that we're eating tonight.
Okay, yada yada. Tell me that cheese is not awesome. I mean, it just like tastes. I was gonna say unctuous, but then I learned I was saying that I was not using that word correctly. And I'm a grammar person, y'all. So I would say it's like everything that's meaty, oniony. I just love it. Beefy. So we paired this tonight.
I could eat this instead of a steak any night.
Yeah, it's like a steak. Okay. We paired it tonight with Castelvetrano olives, which do have a pit. Be careful. Even if you don't like olives, I'd give it a try. They're more fruity than briny. So it goes well with the pickle because the pickle cuts all that like fattiness, the palate coating. However, we had a little lover's quarrel right beforehand, and I was like, I think it should go with the shallot confit.
Maybe that's why I stole your cheese.
That's a different one. But so try the shallot confit, y'all, with this cheese, because to me that was like a match made in heaven. So I just like to talk through why, when we hit it, when we miss it, what we're looking for in pairings. And I just love that shallot confit because it tastes like French onion soup when you put the two together.
I do. I like it.
Just saying.
I think it's great.
I always say we're all right, except in this instance, I am really right. I don't always say that.
I love the olive with it too, but the shallot is outstanding.
Yes, just don't mess with me and wash rind cheeses and savory pairings.
It's her category, and that's one I would not steal from her, Ellen, I promise.
Okay, you're right. It's really good with the Castelvetrano too, though. Okay. I should have eaten that before I talked.
Yeah.
I went straight for my pairing.
You're confident in the top hat tonight. I love it.
All right. I know it is kind of fun. It's like an alter ego. We should have alter ego cheese personalities.
We'll have to practice.
Okay.
That.
So next week, next Wednesday, our Facebook Live is going to be Cheese 101, and we will go more in depth into each of those styles. So if you're like, they keep saying washed rind and throwing it around, we don't know what that means, you'll have to tune in next week because we don't have time for that today. But your cheat sheet is on the back of your menu, hopefully, that you got on what we call, there's so many ways to categorize and classify cheese in different families. This is the most generic in our thoughts of what we call the 7 styles of cheese. And so you'll see that there's a washed rind on there. Look, and I described it as meaty, truffly, creamy, yeasty.
You're amazing. It seems like you've been doing this for 10 years.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And
we finally
where
got
have
there,
the 10 years gone? It's like it was yesterday. To eat the rind or not. We always like to say a rind is a terrible thing to waste. I loved it. I ate it. You get that like grittiness on there. It's just, to me, it provides some texture. If you don't, life is too short. Don't eat it.
So we're halfway through, and we didn't exactly say why we chose Wisconsin as one of the themes for tasting.
Yeah.
What makes Wisconsin, Kendall, so special when it comes to cheese?
Are you trying to like lay it up here?
In softball?
No, you don't lay up in softball.
I'm laying whatever.
Right? Y'all, it's basketball.
No,
a
basketball,
layup.
Yes, but a soft toss.
Oh, you were thinking like tee it up.
Like a whatever.
Well, maybe I kind of crossed them.
Matter.
We're really all over the place, y'all. Okay.
Stay with us. We'll still be here 3 hours from now figuring out that
we should
last
stay
point.
in cheese school and not. I was saying I was having some. I used to be the girl who would like run all the way down the basketball court in high school, and nobody was around me. And I would lay it up, and it would just like hit the rim, and come back down and hit me on the head.
So I'm definitely not giving you a layup.
I was captain of the basketball team because I had the most heart. That's what they tell people when you're not the good one, that you have the most heart,
right.
Kendall.
So let's talk about Wisconsin for a second.
Y'all, Wisconsin, it produces a lot of freaking cheese. We all knew that. And I looked at the Wisconsin Milk Marketing Board stats, which is this awesome organization. And in 2018, Wisconsin produced 3.8 billion pounds of cheese. And another fun fact they had is if you looked at Wisconsin as a country, that it is the 4th highest ranking in the entire world of cheese production. So that's just pretty cool to show you that one state. What is Wisconsin known for?
Master cheesemakers.
And which is a specific, you don't have master cheesemakers in Vermont or California. It's a specific program, certification, program was the wrong word, qualification program in Wisconsin.
And you become certified in specific types of cheeses, right? So you might be certified in multiple different ones as a master cheesemaker. It's pretty awesome.
Okay, what I was thought you were gonna say is cheddar.
Cheddar.
So Wisconsin, mostly known for
making lots and lots of delicious cheddar that's shared all throughout the world, all the way again from industrial, which is delicious and amazing, all the way to the artisanal, the smaller batch makers that are making 1 vat a day rather than 20 vats a day. And
when we say artisanal, what do we mean by that? We mean, again, it's a buzzword these days. Domino's has artisanal pizza. For us, it means touched by hands. You know the name of the people who do it. It's not necessarily all robotic and machine made. They're paying homage to traditional methods. It doesn't mean they can't also be innovative. Oftentimes it's in line with the slow food ethic of good, clean, and fair. So all that being said, people can think of it as different ways, but for us, it often means that we know exactly who's making the cheese.
Yes, it's amazing.
Okay.
So we're eating from a bunch of master cheesemakers.
Yes,
which is super cool.
Awesome.
Doesn't that sound awesome when we say it out loud? Like, heck
okay,
yeah.
So I wanted you,
right.
Let's do the next cheese, but I wanted you to tell like history of cheese in Wisconsin.
Sure, I'll do my best. That sounds fantastic. Let's eat some cheese first.
Okay, so now we are to your first hard cheese because there's always somebody who's lost. Oh, Kyle, I love that your kid is a rind kid. A lot of times we hear people say that they give the dog the rinds too. Not equating your kid to the dog, but somebody's going to eat the rind or something. So we are on your first firm cheese. It is this beautiful one here.
Yes,
you don't want me to touch your cheese?
Well, if you need to, you could, but I don't.
You really got that back really quickly.
Yeah, I'm ready to eat it.
All right, and we are going to Marieke Gouda.
Yeah, so Penterman Farm, Holland family farm in Thorpe, Wisconsin. She is one of the greatest.
Oh, smell it, y'all. Just smell it first.
Yeah, smell it, eat it. This is 12 to 18 months.
Salted toffee, salted caramel.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, now I'm taking a bite. You started talking.
Okay. Marieke is from Holland, moved to Wisconsin, love story, fell in love, settled down, bought a farm.
Imported all the equipment, cultures, herbs, spices, everything comes from Holland. They get their cow's milk from Penterman Farms, one of their farm. So the milk is piped directly from the parlor into the cheese making area. The curd is hand packed into like 18-pound form, so pretty big. Brined for 60 hours. It's amazing. And then they're aged on Dutch pine planks. And so they win so many awards for Gouda.
Like she sweeps all the Gouda categories. Yeah. So this same cheese we can carry, and we do carry it in 2 to 4 months. There's a 6 month, and then the 9 to 12, right?
12 to 18. Yeah.
Okay. So she has the different ages, and the flavor. Wow. All of them are good. A lot of times people just think age means it's better, and it's not. Each one is, even like cheddars. Like we said, we carried Joe Widmer's 10-year cheddar. Each one in age is unique and delicious in its own right, and has different characteristics about it that you want.
Yeah, and one of my favorite things about her, at least, is that when she does win awards, she typically dances as she's going on stage. It's kind of like her thing. It's her celebration, and we all celebrate because she makes such great cheese, and she brought this to our plates, and it's just outstanding.
Pardon my looking at my phone. The only reason I'm looking, and because we have so many cheese people on here, I just wanted to make sure. I thought that her cheese was pasteurized, and we have that it's raw milk on the menu. And so I'm just going to do a double check while we're on here, because I was pretty sure that it's pasteurized. You can sell raw milk cheese in the United States. It just has to be aged over 60 days. So I will double check on that, but I think that might be incorrect on your menu. Sorry, we're juggling lots these days. But we're always about owning our mistakes and correcting it. So I just wanted y'all to know that.
So we'll make that. And so that cheese, again, Kendall said salted caramel. So somebody asked what the crystals are. If we could package the crystals into like a spice container and sell them, we'd make a bunch of money. This is typically we talk about as tyrosine. It's a breakdown of the proteins into amino acids, and they kind of combine with calcium phosphate, I think, to create that sort of textural. We just call them flavor crystals, and everybody loves them. And so it's wonderful. And tonight we paired that texture and that smooth, when you bite into that cheese, it sort of kind of mellows out on your palate and just gives you that really rich overall feeling. We paired that with chocolate from Wildwood Chocolate in Portland, Oregon. This is a Texas pecan brown butter brittle bar.
Otherwise known as, you can't say it, tongue twister. Oh, it's so good.
And Stephen Lawrence used to live around the corner from our shop. And as the chocolate maker studio, we were the first company to carry his products. And we had the exclusive on this bar since we opened, since he started making chocolate. It is addicting and wonderful. And with the texture of that cheese, they play so well together. The flavor is going to be incredible and really rounded.
I just keep saying, So initially, I had asked the team to pair his salted caramel bar with this, but I switched it up and went with this. It's making the salt is coming out on both of them, which I wasn't expecting that. We're just bringing the salt from the chocolate bar and the salt of the cheese out instead. So instead of, we normally take this cheese, pairing it into those butterscotchy, caramely flavors, it's actually bringing out more of the salt to me.
Yeah, more salt water on the palate. That's fascinating. Not expected.
No, that was a whole different
experience.
A whole new world.
Woo!
I don't know where that came from.
You're allowed to do
I don't know where this finger's coming from tonight either, especially while I'm drinking Rambler, y'all. Okay.
All right, y'all. We had a question about how to pronounce. Marike is the name of the producer. But I also am adding, reposting what we're pairing tonight. So you can see the name of the chocolate maker, Wildwood Chocolate. We sell it in our shop. And we ship it in from Oregon overnight so it doesn't melt. So it's more expensive than other chocolate bars, but gosh, it is so good. And it is worth it.
Okay.
That was awesome.
It was fun.
So now we're moving on to Chris Raleigh.
Yes, Little Mountain. And if we're looking all around, it's because we have, for those of you who are new, we have 4 screens. So this is what we've finagled, bootstrapped from home after all these months of pandemic. But we're reading questions from you on one screen, have our different thing right here. So anyway, it's all over the place.
It's all over the map.
Okay, Little Mountain is up from Chris Raleigh. Yeah, let's go for it.
All right.
Award winning.
So good. All right. Yeah. somebody mentioned that is a $15 chocolate bar. That is correct. And I think it's worth every bite. When he moved to Oregon, when he moved to Oregon, we were going to stop carrying the product. But then after talking with a couple of customers who revolted pretty much immediately, we ended up paying in advance so that he could get his operation up. We bought enough inventory to last 6 months, and then to get a bit of a boost so that he could open up his shop so that he can then send us chocolates. And so the cost of sending his chocolates is high, but it is worth it.
When we tried not to carry it because it was expensive, our customers revolted. Yeah. But I am now on the Little Mountain. Okay,
you've already moved. Oh, yeah, and you took a bite.
I did. We were excited. We were moving on.
Best of show winner. Here we go.
Y'all, this one, Best of Show at the American Cheese Society. Chris Raleigh is the master cheesemaker. His family has been making cheese for hundreds of years, or over 100 years. His great grandfather was Adolf from Switzerland,
yeah,
and came and immigrated in 1920. 4 generations of cheesemakers making these mountain style cheeses. So go ahead and give it a try and a bite.
And he's again one of those master cheesemakers. And when he is again, these cheesemakers are so humble. And they work so hard. There's very little time off. There's no breaks here. They're not only making their cheese, they're marketing. He has a shop that he runs and he sells. I got to visit. It's beautiful. But there's like no break. And so when you win an award like Best of Show at the American Cheese Society, it's powerful. It's, a life's work. In that moment, and this Little Mountain, and to see, and when he won, I think broke down crying, right? So it's just, you always think of entering a competition is easier than it sounds, right? It's like, oh, what's the big deal? You enter a competition, but your ego is on the line. You're putting yourself out there, and something that the American Cheese Society tries to do is the judges try to really give back these completed, filled out, constructive feedback. So like, I think there's a technical judge and an aesthetic judge, which I'm going too far down a rabbit hole. But the point is to say, they're giving you, this was at the wrong pH when you did this. And this was the finish. And some judges can be brutal. Oftentimes the goal though is always to give feedback that can help them improve that cheese. But so why wouldn't somebody enter? Well, it can be expensive to enter. And it's like you're putting your life's work out there and being judged for it. And it's hard sometimes, as we all know, not to, like when our business failed in 2018, to separate what you do with who you are, and that it's not a reflection of you. So all that being said, this is a happy story, not a sad one, is that when he won, I just remember like a crowd, or we're all sitting there at the annual society and conference, it's normally coming up in the summer. And a lot of the same people, there are some repeat wins because they make stellar cheeses. And so everybody's excited for them. Everybody gets really excited when it's somebody that hasn't been up there before. And when that love and that circle, it makes me think of SNL when you get the 5-time club and the jacket, but when you break into that new club. And when he went up, and he's just this like humble, unassuming guy, and he just started bawling. And I'll always remember that. And it was just pure, raw, honest emotion and joy, and just like, oh, thank God, like finally something is worthy. So anyway, we hope that doesn't seem like too much of a digression, except to say that every time we eat these cheeses, we see the people and the faces behind them. We hope that whenever you're shopping with our shop, you know that we're behind it, and the faces of our people. We hope that you know our kids, and we know the kids and stories and animals of all the people that we represent. So to us, it's real people and not just a product. And real people are fallible, and sometimes it's awesome. Sometimes there's a mistake. I'm sure somebody out there missed one thing, because we keep missing one thing in every class. So thanks for biting your tongue so far. But we'll make it right. But so anyway, it's just amazing to be able, it's such a privilege to be able to represent these people. Mm-hmm. It was a huge digression. Okay. So we paired, what are these Alpine styles known for? Nuttiness. Oftentimes an herbaceousness, they're from grass-fed milk, so you want to taste all of that going on in the milk, but really like this cheese has a good nutty factor to it. And we paired it with a dried apricot tonight. Felt good?
He's got a mouthful. All right. So dried apricot has a little bit of that acid in there to meet it, bring out a little fruitiness. I think they both
elevated a lot together. It was pretty cool. I think they experienced. I started with a lot of apricot notes, but then the little mountain pushed through, and really, you can eat this rind. It is edible. Might as well try it. It's going to be a little bit stronger than the cheese itself, but try it. If you like it, keep eating it. If you don't, stop. But it's worth doing. We had a question. Is the Gouda from Penterman Farm or Holland's Family? Great question. Used to be called Holland's Family cheese. Now it's Marieke Gouda from Penterman Farm. Marique's last name is Penterman. So it's the family brand has changed, but it's the same. Our menu still says Holland's Family Farm from when that was there previous. So great question. And then we had a question, Kendall, do we have video of how we slice and portion cheese for the plates? I would say everyone that if you volunteer for one of the classes, you get to see that. But we don't have a
when our classes are back in person, we have a volunteer work every class, and we can't. I mean, people just keep wanting to do it, but they want to see behind the scenes and how that magic happens. We do have we have a cheese 101 in a box. So if you're watching this, for some reason you're tuning in right now, I don't know why anybody would watch other people eat, because then you'd be like, I want to eat. But if you're just happening to tune in, or you guys are eating with us and you want to send it somewhere else, we have a cheese 101 in a box, and it comes with 2 videos. One's a 10-minute video on how we cut and plate, and then the other one is an hour-long guided tasting. So people can experience this experience while they're trapped in their houses.
Yeah, my brother's doing it tomorrow.
Yeah.
I get to lead another class.
Up in Yankeetown. Okay. So next up is our cheddar, and we're going over to Mineral Point with Tony
and Julie Hook.
Yeah, Tony and Julie.
So pumped, y'all. So they got their cheesemaker's license in 1972, and they began producing cheeses in 1976 after they formed Hook's Cheese Company. Mineral Point, it's a small little town. I remember it vaguely as like cheese plant, post office, restaurant, bar. Seems like a logical thing in this middle part of Wisconsin. They in the 80s, they expanded. They started just producing cheddar and Swiss. And in the 80s, they started making Colby, Monterey Jack, some Flavor Jacks, and Marble Jacks. And in 82, their Colby won best in class at the World Cheese Championships. And then in the best of show round, they took best of show, best cheese in the world. At that time, that competition had 482 entries. Still, they were, the competitions then, that was large for where we were as an American dairy cheese making group. Now we're closer, the entries can be as high as 2,000 different entries in the course of a competition.
Also, female power. I believe Julie Hook was, if not the first, one of the first female master cheesemakers. So I think that's a cool distinction. Mm-hmm. And there's a long history of artisanal cheese being made by women. And in fact, it just depends on really the style of cheese and where it's made. But oftentimes, like way back in the old day, it was often the man who was tending to the herd. And then once they had the milk, it was the wife or the woman who was turning it into cheese and preserving it. But with industrialization and wartime cheese and lots of stuff going on, it ended up being a lot of men in Wisconsin doing it. So it's great. It's cool that Julie kind of helped pave the path, making that way for a master cheesemaker for a female.
And so if you pick up this sheep's milk cheddar.
Our first sheep's milk cheese, our only sheep's milk cheese.
And break it apart, you can see where some of the curds were binding together. It'll break along some of the curd structure. So remember the little guys at the beginning? This would have had a lot more pressure applied to those curds, so they would have lost more moisture and shrunk a little bit. But if you kind of break it apart, you can see where some of that curd development was, which is really cool. So
sheep's milk, this isn't our 101, but goat's milk, which we did earlier, is known for like tangy, acidic, grassy, minerality. Cow's milk is the most versatile, but oftentimes buttery, grassy, herbaceous, and sheep's milk is known for being really rich and nutty. It's the fattiest of these 3 milks and has the biggest, It's the fattiest of it. I should say that. I was going to say biggest milk globules, but that wasn't what I meant to say because that's cow's milk, I think.
And when you age a
biggest fat. When
you age a cheddar out, this one got very fudgy, peanut buttery on your palate, so it lingers a lot longer than the squeaky cheese curds. You bite them, you chew them, they go away pretty easily. Here, I'm getting quite a lot of that, as I said, peanut butter feel. I'm like licking the top of my mouth, which is awesome.
I also got a lot of saliva production. So for me, it was pretty acidic.
Acid,
yeah, good acid, which is something you want on a cheddar. And oftentimes what people will then start to call like a sharp
acid,
flavor profile
salt together. Barbara was asking how we choose to organize our plate. Typically, the way we usually approach it is by how long the flavor will last on your palate. So it might not be the strongest cheese on the plate, but if it lingers a really long time, like blue cheese, for instance, that flavor will linger on our palate for 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes, 2 days, 6 days, 10 days. Whereas the wash rind, while stinky and smelly, you take a sip of a liquid with it, and that flavor goes away, that overwhelming aroma. So we try to
usually
do it in a balance along with the finish. So the sheep's milk cheddar is lasting way longer than the Gouda did. The Gouda was really rich and decadent and amazing, and then you have a pairing with it.
So it's how long is the finish, and then usually that is often a result of age of cheese. So oftentimes the longer you age a cheese out, the longer the finish is going to be on your palate, as opposed to a short flavor. You're going to get a long flavor. Okay, so we paired this out of Wisconsin from Underground Meats, for those of you who eat meat. This is seasoned with red pepper and thyme. It's their soppressata, a traditional Italian cheese, and those big black peppercorns.
Salami.
Yes.
An Italian salami.
What did I say?
It's Italian cheese.
Salami. Fantastic. Yes. Sorry, vegetarians don't eat that. Underground Meats, people often ask us how we source our products. We had fallen in love with them years ago, and we kept calling and saying, oh, can we distribute for you or purchase from you? And they're like, oh, we don't have the right licensing. So one day we say that our goal is really to just fight all the permitting fights for all the small scale makers, and we try to do what we can. But one thing that people don't know is in meat production, if you're curing, there's one license to sell locally, but there's a different license to sell across state lines. And basically it's that you have to have a USDA inspection person on site to be able to do that, who's always monitoring processes and all this stuff, and then certain types of permitting. So they didn't have that. So they could sell locally anywhere they wanted, but not across state lines. And we kept calling, and we're just persistent. And we're big fans of you don't get what you don't ask for. So we would call almost like clockwork every year. And then one year just like, hey, it's just Kendall Antonelli, just checking in. Can you sell? And they're like, yes, we just got it. So we were one of the first people outside of the state of Wisconsin to sell their meats, and they're doing great. And
it's delicious. You get
heritage hogs. So it's like red wattle, Tamworth, bringing back all these heritage breeds. One breed I'd never heard of. The black mulefoot, and then mangalitas. And so anyway, hope you like that little bite with that. So it's really, so this pairing was about like richness with richness, both rich. And if you are drinking a red wine, some of the other ones would have been a lighter, fruitier red, like a Pinot Noir. This I think could be, oftentimes I don't say big reds pair well with cheese, but I think a big red could do this, like something that still has really dry, a lot of acid, and a big cab.
So if you noticed,
with eyeballs.
If you notice that the way that our team cut that cheese was in a triangle. So one of the things that is important to note about the traditional Wisconsin cheddars is they come in block form. So usually they're 40-pound wheels, which are 40-pound blocks, which we bring in, and we bring in about 30 to 40 every week, maybe 50. And they're 40-pound blocks, and then they get cut down into those little itty-bitty ones that you see at the grocery store. But that's a traditional way of making cheddar, and oftentimes they're cryovac so that the moisture remains inside, so that the age is slightly smoother and a little wetter than you would see like a cloth-bound cheddar that we sometimes use in our events that releases more whey during the aging. I promise
I was listening to everything you were saying, except that I wasn't, because we promised each other we were going to like end on time tonight.
Let's do this then.
Okay, y'all. We're not going to rush it. You get us, but we need to move to the next cheese. last but not least, we're doing a blue cheese. This is from Sid Cook of Car Valley Cheese in Wisconsin, another master cheesemaker. Their business is over 100 years old as well. Sid Cook is another 4th generation cheesemaker. This one,
I can't get a good shot.
A gold in the gold in 2019 World Cheese Awards. What else about it? Oh, so it's called Pentacrim. So it's a little play on marketing. And cheeses, you have cheese, and then you have a double creme and then a triple creme. Triple creme just means over 75% butterfat in it. So there is no 5 creme, but I think their point is it's really creamy, and they added a lot of cream back into it.
5 times the cream
of a normal blue.
Of a
traditional blue.
Mm-hmm.
And this is our cow's milk.
So
I haven't gotten to taste this cheese in a long time, so I'm tasting it first time with you tonight.
It's like blue cheese butter. It's wonderful.
So if you don't like,
so wonderful.
It's kind of like foam don't bear to me. If you don't like blue cheeses, I'd give this a bite. I got more creamy, mushroomy. It's milky. It doesn't have that strong, piquant blue flavor that like slaps you across the face, kicks you in the back of the throat, and wakes you up. Instead, this is more creamy.
If you've ever had Cambozola, it's like a German cheese that a lot of people can recognize. It's a camembert with a bit of blue molding in it. This is like way better, more delicious. My team, our wholesale director, Alex, found this for us and has been like one of the biggest proponents. We think Car Valley is a great cheesemaker. Sid Cook.
They make a bazillion different styles of cheese.
If you've had Cave Age Marissa, Coco Cardona, Menage, Maubé, those are the cheeses that come from this cheesemaker. They're based out of Laval, Wisconsin. And I just think overall they make really incredible products, and it's paired with Jam Nation's Berry Last Straw. So
we met Jillian Reynolds at through the Good Food Awards, the Good Food Foundation at the Mercantile in 2017. It's fair trade. She's out of California. And putting these two together is kind of supposed to be like strawberries and cream, like a somewhat savory play on strawberries and cream. And you get the sweet and then the salt and the sweet and then the salt.
And the happy and the smiles and the happy and the smiles.
I know. So now I'm excited to go back and mix and mingle on my plate what the pairings are.
Did some of that with the cream cheese or the.
Oh, yeah. If you put the strawberry jam on the fresh goat, you'll get a taste of what we would kind of traditionally pair with it. So what else do we have to say as we take it home? One, we want to know what your favorite pairing was. So let me see by your delayed heart emojis what you liked. What? We got questions?
Yeah, we got a question. Is that Barbara, is that autocorrect, or is that a word that I can't read from this far away?
We need a dictionary on more salty.
More salty. Okay, yeah. All right, more salty. Autocorrect. Not necessarily more salty. No, you're on your palate because it's so rich. You may be experiencing the salt more than you might otherwise on another with a different cheese. We all experience the products quite differently based off our own palate. So I don't know that it would be more salty. The
jam can also make the salt come out more.
Yeah. The only thing they really talk about when we call them and ask them about this cheese is that it's got 5 times more cream than you'd expect.
That's just what they're going to say over and over. Okay.
Glacier Pentacreme. It's awesome. All right.
All right, y'all. So I'm going to go through and say which is your favorite, and
you can only vote 7 times. All right.
It's like a little delay today. All right, because we have today. It's not that we're ever scripted. We've just done these a bazillion times, but every time is different, and we have different cheeses in front of us and different combos because we like to play with it ourselves. Okay. So I'm going to say which pairing was your favorite, or is it which cheese?
Let's go with traditional. We're doing Wisconsin.
Which cheese?
Which cheese? Let's do it.
Because I wanted to do all Wisconsin pairings, but we just couldn't make it work. So number 1. So put up your little emojis. Hopefully nobody puts up a mad face. Sometimes I think one of y'all accidentally does it, and it kind of like the empath in me. No, not the empath.
I like smiles.
Yeah.
That's what we like.
Okay, so whose favorite was the cheese curds? Who got a lot of joy out of cheese curds tonight? Go cheese curds. Go cheese curds. Okay, whose favorite was our Leclerc? Oh, Widmer's cheese curds. I'm going to give everybody a shout out. Whose favorite was our Leclerc Fresh Chev?
So good tonight. Yeah, we're getting some votes on that. Awesome.
Okay, whose favorite was the Rothkasa Monroe? Rothkasa.
I mean,
I was waiting for cheers, and I was like, oh, wait, we're the cheers.
We're the cheers.
Yay!
Yeah.
Whose favorite was the Marieke Gouda? Waiting for it. I expect a lot there. That's usually a crowd favorite. Okay. Whose favorite was award-winning Raleigh Little Mountain?
Woo!
Whose favorite was the Hooks Sheep Milk Cheddar?
Ta-da! Love them.
I love it. Ta-da, honey. And last but not least, any big lovers of the Car Valley Pentacreme?
Pentacreme.
Be still my heart. All right, you guys did awesome.
That was awesome.
As a huge appreciation, please know that we are so, so grateful for you. We literally only have a job because you are on the other side of this and you're willing to come into our home and let us come into your home. And we get to live our personal mission, which is to spread joy. It's hard to spread joy at times like this. I'm not going to be the girl who does some cool new thing on TikTok or learns how to like braid my hair 10 ways or whatever. So this is what we do. We do cheese. So we are grateful that we get to live our personal mission to spread joy through cheese with you tonight. There are things that need celebrating right now and a time that's hard to celebrate, like birthdays and anniversaries and other milestones. And so thank you for letting our cheese tastings be a part of that. One of our core principles is to improve every day. So if there's a way you want this to be better, please let us know. You can email. I'm Kendall at Antonellis Cheese.
I'm John at. I got it this time. I did it.
I wasn't ready for you to go, but you actually did it. So please do provide us feedback. Our mission is to do good, eat good. It means that we try to source all of our goods from people who make their goods in a way that's great for the planet, their animals, their teams, delicious for us. And by us supporting them and then you supporting us, it's that cycle of good. And we get to take care of our teams and our communities and give back as well. In fact, yesterday was our charitable cheese cause day, and a portion of all proceeds went to Red Arena, a nonprofit in our community that does horse riding for other abled kids and helps them out. So thank you for helping us live that mission to do good, eat good. And lastly, remember that a portion of all proceeds tonight are going towards American Cheese Education Foundation for American Cheese Month to help our makers. And right now, my challenge to you is there is no shame in this game, by the way. If you are somebody who, like, I love artisanal cheese, but I also love to buy blank singles for my burger because it's just what I was raised on and it tastes good. Go for it. However, right now, we're really asking that support the artisan makers and your domestic makers however you can. So I think there's called like a swap out or do this, not that. But for the foreseeable future, while we're getting out of this pandemic, anything you can do to help our American artisan makers. There's a whole movement right now taking place nationwide called Victory Cheese, which we're excited to be a part of and launch something for that. So if you see Victory Cheese around, it's really this: we will have victory, we will make it through. And some of the cheesemakers that are closed up or closing shop or have sold off herds, we're doing everything we can so that down the line we know that we did our best to save them. How you feeling?
Amazing.
All right.
We landed the plane. I love you.
You guys did great
amazing
tonight. Next week we're doing Cheese 101. On Facebook Live, so we'll go a little bit more in depth on that. And we, for fun, actually, that's what we should tell people. We are not finding out what cheeses are on the plate until right beforehand. Mm-hmm. So we're letting our team pick the Cheese 101. And then the rest of them, we haven't announced yet, y'all. But we're going to do, what did I come up with?
Myth busting.
Oh, y'all! I'm so excited. We're also going to do a myth busting. So, like, I'm lactose intolerant and I can't eat cheese. Busted. We're going to do a myth busting one. We're going to do a honey and cheese pairing one.
In the future, who paired it best? Me versus Kendall in a pairing war.
Woo, so we're going to let our team pick their 4 favorite pairings, and we're each going to pair a cheese to it. So there will be 8 cheeses for that one.
And then a soda and cheese pairing.
Yes, we're teaming up with Main Root. So for those of you who are not drinking or trying to abstain or be dry, or your kids want to join in or whatever it is, we're going to do a non-alcoholic soda and cheese pairing too. So we have a lot of fun stuff.
We're going to have so much fun, y'all. But we will let you get back to your couches. They are probably missing you by this point, unless you've been sitting on them the whole time. My head is not sweaty, but it will feel better not to have a hat on. These are actually really comfortable. They're very foam-based. But y'all are amazing. Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks for coming to Taste of Wisconsin. We appreciate you.